Hi, it's Erica.
Hi, it's Camilla. Welcome to Two Singles in a Pod.
Bud. On today's episode, we're going to get a little bit personal. So grab your wine, grab your tequila shots or a little drink, and let's get into it.
Let's get into it.
Cheers to you.
Oh, so, I suck. Sorry. Cheers.
All right.
I feel like we need the drinks today because I feel like it's more personal.
It, it is. And I apologize in advance if you see me crying, okay? I didn't get a tissue
Same.
box. Um,
Me either. I didn't even think about it.
No, but I feel like we've been having really good topics so far. We really appreciate the feedback, first off, that we've been getting. So thank you to all of you guys listening and just being super kind about everything and giving us the feedback that we need. Even if it's like good or bad, we really appreciate it. But we did get one feedback that really stuck with me for a whole weekend days. And he said that we need to get a little bit personal. I was like, you
Mhm.
know what? We do. We really do need to. I feel like we're
Yeah.
both very like private individuals.
Hmm.
So we try to be more generalized instead of personal. So
Yeah.
I think today this is going to be a really good episode for our audience to really get to know us as individuals, um, especially with the holidays around the corner. So really want to touch base on that because I know the holidays can be a very lonely time for some. Um, talk about a little bit of our heartbreak experiences, what we've learned, just an overall thing of just getting really into who and what made us who we are today.
Yes, and nothing's better than being personal and then seeing our faces too.
Correct. Yeah.
That's right, because if you're
Try.
listening on Apple or Spotify, you're not seeing our faces, but this will be out on YouTube as well.
Yeah.
Two Singles in a Pod that you can listen to. So with this, I was thinking I'm gonna start with because we were talking about like, did we want to talk about like our first heartbreaks, like the what killed? And I
Mhm.
was gonna go with like my first love because obviously that's like your first real heartbreak, I feel like.
Yeah. It hits a little different for
It
sure.
does. I truly believe that you have multiple loves in your life. You have multiple feelings in your life that you go through and you feel different loves for different people. But
Yes.
for me, I feel like my first love totally shaped all my other relationships.
Hmm.
Personally, I don't know like what other people
Right. Right.
feel.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that like we were really young. I mean, I fell in love at the age of 17, 16, 17 years old.
Hmm.
So that was like my first time like loving a boy because like before, I mean, I might have had like, boys I liked, but I
Yeah.
didn't know what love really was until like when we like got into our first like little breakup and like like you're 16, 17, you're like gonna break up all the time. And it like actually hurt my feelings. Like I actually
Yeah.
cried for like days and I was like,
Yeah.
ah, I cannot live without him. Like now I'm living without him. But
Yeah.
it's just like funny that you feel like all these strong emotions at that young age. And I don't think my first love experience, like relationship wise, probably why I'm so toxic and I attract toxic men. Honestly, because I think that my first relationship shaped the remaining relationships that I have.
Okay. Can you elaborate on like how so? Like in a positive way, in a negative way? Like what do you think your biggest lesson from that heartbreak was, given that you were so young?
With that, because we broke up when I was like 21, 22. Like we were together for quite a while.
Oh
But
wow. Yeah.
but I mean, it was a struggle and it was really hard. And I just look at it and I think that a lot of things that he did, I don't really punish him for or like hold a grudge towards him because we were so young. Like, was I thinking that we were going to get married at 17? Like, no.
No.
But I mean, like, I allowed myself to be cheated on multiple times. Like, I always tell him 9 times, but he's like, it was not 9 women, blah, blah, blah. It totally was.
Oh
I don't
wow.
care
That is,
what he says. I know it was 9 women that I could count on, like, that I know of. But
yeah.
I actually think the moment when I became like a mom, that's when I was like, I'm not gonna take this bullshit anymore. Like, I have someone else watching me, and I don't want her to take this bullshit anymore.
Yeah.
But like, I don't have any hatred towards him because of those things. I just am like, we were so young. Like, of course he cheated on me.
Yeah,
Of course. You know what I mean? Like, there's probably a million men out there that don't do that at that age, but there's probably a million that do and that,
correct.
don't admit it.
Yeah.
But the bond I had with him was always more like we were really good friends. I still think of him now as like a friend. I think that we just weren't meant to be. And I think that, like, when you look at it when you're younger, you don't see it that way.
Mm-hmm.
And I think over time, when you heal, I'm not the best person to give advice on how to heal. I just want to tell you that. Don't take my advice on that because I am a firm believer is sometimes you heal by getting underneath somebody else.
Oh,
So
you sound like a dude.
I know I can't help it, but I think that from that relationship, I think I like got into another one like not too far from that one actually, and I should have never done that. I should have healed first. So
Mm-hmm.
then my next relationship, that was actually a terrible relationship. It was the worst relationship I've ever been in my entire life to this day. There's
Mm-hmm.
no man who was worse than that man in the world, which I like don't even want to give him time or energy or space because he was fucking the devil. But after that relationship, I jumped into like another one, but I lived on the East Coast. And all my trauma from those two relationships went on to that guy.
Oh, I can see that.
And I felt so bad for him because he was such a great man. Like he
Mm-hmm.
was so good to me, but I was so crazy. Like I was insane. I like feel bad for him. Like sometimes I just want to call him honestly and apologize. Like I'm sorry that I was so crazy. I'm sorry that I was not the best partner for you, but he was definitely the best partner for me at the time. Like he definitely showed me what I wanted from somebody. But I always like jumped from relationship to relationship to relationship until like I moved back to Las Vegas. And when I moved back to Las Vegas, I didn't really date anybody for a really long time until like that's for like 2016, 17 to 2019. I stayed single.
Oh, wow, that's good.
That's the longest I've ever been like fully single.
Wow, 3 years.
Yeah,
I mean, that is a long time, and it
I
gives you
feel
enough
like
time
it's
to
long.
really like reflect on like kind of just do your own thing at your own time.
Yeah, it made me realize like when I was with the guy on the East Coast or whatever, and I had all my trauma that I was placing on him, I felt like I had to hang out with him every day. I was that girl. I had to hang out with him every day.
Like you,
And say it again.
like you wanted to.
Yeah, I felt like I had to because I was so fucked up from my previous relationships that I felt like I had to be with him all the time so he wouldn't do other things. But ladies, that is not. If your man's gonna cheat, he's gonna cheat. Like it doesn't
Lit-
matter.
Literally.
It just doesn't matter. But I just was young and I didn't know, so I was just like I always had to hang out with him, and I was just like such an asshole. And then I ended up cheating on him. I did. Yeah,
Oh,
see, that's what I'm saying. I
God.
had all of this. I should have healed before being with him, and I didn't. And so
Mm-hmm.
I did to him what was done to me because I didn't think I deserved anything but that. So it was just like my way of getting out of it because it was too good. And I thought I didn't deserve too good.
You never like thought that you cheating on this guy was kind of like your payback from the previous guy?
I mean, maybe. I mean, my daughter's dad is my first love. I'll just get that out of the way.
Hmm.
I was hurt from him, yes, but which we're actually going to talk about that in later episodes about dating people with kids and all that stuff like that
Of
because
course.
I get hurt by him in different ways, not in relationship ways.
Okay.
I think that always throws people off because like we did date like a long time ago. We haven't been together since my daughter was like 1.5, 2 years old. So I don't look at him and like that way. There's just things about him that hurt me with like my child wise. But
Okay.
the second guy, that's the devil, he was abusive. He cheated on me. He
Wow.
was literally the devil. Like if I'm always friendly to people because I believe like it's just like the better thing to do is just be nice, not have that drama, that
Hmm.
karma. But sorry, man, because if you do hear this or whatever, 'cause I think he follows me on Snapchat or something, but if he was on fire, I wouldn't piss on him. I would just be like, burn, burn,
Bad, huh?
fucking burn to the ground. He's the devil. And it's
That,
funny because any other man that I've been with, I don't ever think of them that way. Like, none of them. They're all like great. It's just, he was so toxic and hurtful to me. And it's not just about like the physical abuse that was happening, the mental abuse and the cheating on me because it was gaslighting me. It was
yeah.
which is funny because the girl he cheated on me with, I'm actually friends with her on Facebook. Yes, I know. I have no problem with her. She didn't know anything about me. It was horrible. He cheated on me for 6 months without me knowing, right? 6 whole freaking months. And I was so like
Oh,
in
God.
my own brain about this guy. You could tell me at the time that he was cheating on me, and I would laugh at you in your face. Like, no,
You'd be
he
like,
would never.
yeah, right.
Yeah. So this girl I went to like junior high with, but like don't have any relationship with really, we're just Facebook friends, wrote me and was like, hey, your boyfriend is dating my friend. Here's a picture of them. And I was like, what the fuck? And
Oh
I'll
my.
never forget it because he had an orange shirt on, and I was like, this little fucking cocksucking bitch. I was like, this motherfucker doesn't know who he just fucks with. I was seriously so mad that I just wanted to like rip his whole head off and his dick and everything. I was like, this little dirty bitch. You cheat on me for 6 months with some woman? Anyway, she ends up like messaging me and we start talking, and later on, like we're Facebook friends. Like, she I think is in like a really good relationship. I always like all her pictures. She seems really happy. I'm happy, but I'm just so glad we both don't deal with that monster.
That's
I
good.
Yeah, he's a monster.
How
But I
long
think
did he?
how long did we date? Is that what you said?
Yeah.
Um, a year before I found out that he cheated on me. So half of our relationship he was cheating on me. And then like he took me out of the country, and then that's when he got like actually like really physically abusive with me. Like he had been like slightly abusive before, but I kind of let it roll off like my back, like, oh, whatever. And then when we went out of the country, I don't want to say the place because if I say the place, then people are easily to know who it is.
Oh yeah, that's fine. If you
So
don't
I
want.
don't want to do that. Like I'm not
Yeah.
that bitchy. But then he like abused me out there because he was still texting her and I saw it. And then this boy texted me for my job and was asking me if he could pick up my shift. And he saw that a guy was texting me, so he tried to like flip it on me. And that's the first time I ever like realized what gaslighting was. And like, I didn't like, no one had ever done that to me. Cause even with my daughter's dad, like when he would like cheat on me, I thought that he'd be like, yeah, I did. But he would never be like, you're doing it. He never like pointed the finger back at me. Never.
Okay. Wow. Okay.
He never really like, he just didn't. He would just be like, well, you're crazy. Like, and I understand. I was
Sorry.
like young, whatever. But with this guy, I just was like, this motherfucker is crazy.
Yeah.
And then it just got worse and worse. And then like my mom was moving to the East Coast, and I was like, I have to move to get away from this. So, and I did. And then that's when I got into the other relationship. Like literally, I lived in Maryland for a month and I had a boyfriend.
Wow. That was quick.
It was quick. And normally I'm not like that quickly dating, but he was such a lesson for me. He taught me that what a man should treat a woman really is like,
Hmm.
and to not settle for shit. But he also, like, when I cheated on him, he was like, bitch, I'm done with you. And he was done. And I, like, respect him for that because not many people do that. Everyone always takes the other person back and stuff like that. But he did not. And I respected him for that. I still respect him for that. Like, we're friendly. We get along now. But
You're a better person.
that,
That would never.
I'm actually quite friendly with, like, most of my exes because it's not like, we once upon a time had some kind of love for each other.
Yeah. True.
Not that I want to revisit that love because I don't.
I was gonna say, let's not do that.
There's really not an ex that I would want to be with.
Oh, absolutely not.
No,
No. Mm-mm.
not. And I'm really thinking hard. No.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't dated that many. I mean, in a relationship, I haven't had many boyfriends, but even the few that I have had,
Hmm.
nope.
So do you know like your real hardest heartbreak?
Um, yeah, absolutely. You would think it's the first guy that I dated, but no.
Uh-huh. Okay.
It was the second guy I dated. I think it was more so because I was more of an adult, so my feelings were very more up there, you know. I was more aware of how I felt and stuff, and we were to do more like adulty things together.
Hmm.
Um, it was a mutual breakup though. It wasn't like anything intense like that. Um, but I think he's the one that taught me the most about how to value myself and knowing my worth, and
I
also
love
how I
that.
treat a woman. Because I saw things that I was like even sitting here now thinking back into that relationship, like, wow, I really let that slide. I really just ignored that red flag after red flag, and I'm just like, no, never again. Like
Hmm.
like now I know that my requirements and my standards are not high because of my past relationships. And I thank him so much for that. Even
Yeah.
though it was obviously a hard heartbreak, even if it was a mutual breakup, it was still hard because like you said, you know, at one point this person made you happy, you had a lot of love for them, you had good times together. And I'm not gonna lie, at some point I did think that, okay, this is my person. This is the person that I'm gonna spend the rest of my life with. You know, I had all these high hopes, all these expectations. I saw my life kind of played out in front of me with this person
Hmm.
until yeah, just like a switch just went on. I was like, no, like this isn't how I should be treated. Like it was a big deal for me to say, why don't you ever do like nice things for me? Like you never buy me flowers, you never do this, you don't support this or that. And it was always an issue,
Yeah.
right? Like, oh well, you should be grateful that I'm making time for you. Well, no, like you should be making time for me. I'm your girlfriend. Like that's how this works.
Yeah.
And that's the first time I ever caught myself also begging for any form of love. And that's when I was like, okay, yeah, this isn't it. Because I was raised with, you know, thankfully my parents are still together, but seeing like their love kind of just grow and seeing
Hmm.
how my uncles or like my cousins, they treat their women, or even like me, you know, being the oldest uh girl in our family, it's
Yeah.
like they really cater to me. They are
Okay.
so they're loving. They put me on a pedestal. They do treat me like a queen. So it's like, why would I ever let a bum treat me like anything less?
It's funny you say that because that's why I always get surprised that I was in relationships the way that I was because my dad used to tell my mom that if like and me my sister, candy is not a gift, jewelry is a gift.
Exactly.
And I was like, okay, bet. Like that's just you know, he was very like he's buying my mom always jewelry and all these things, and he just did like all these great things. So in my mind, that's what I always envisioned. And I
Hmm.
always liked about my dad is that my dad, yeah, like you know, men are the leaders or whatever, but he always let my mom speak and feel how she wanted to because he felt like that's important to him. Like he needed to like know what she's thinking too. Like he didn't just
Yeah.
make the decisions by himself. He made it with her. That's
Hmm.
actually hard to find with men because men think that like, you know, they're the man, they have the dick, they run the show, but
Right.
no, we run it together.
No,
And
yeah. Why wouldn't you want to give her the floor? Speak, give her her time. Once she's done, it's like, okay, now it's your turn type of thing, you know?
I did want to touch base on one thing about our podcast is
Hmm.
the title because everyone always asks me about it. So,
Yes.
two singles in a pod. We are two singles. Let me just tell you my relationship status right now. Sometimes I'm in a relationship, sometimes we're not. That changes on the daily.
Hmm.
Honestly, in the day, in the morning, I could be in a full blown relationship, and at night, we could not be together. I've been in on and off again relationship for almost, I think it's like coming up on 2019 to now, we're still doing that. So a long
Mhm.
time. And I don't really like want to talk about that relationship because I'm still dealing with that relationship, but I will give little bits and pieces. But when I signed my like W-2 forms or whatever, that shit says single, married, or separated, widowed. My shit checks mark single. It doesn't say in a relationship, complicated, on and off again, like it says fucking single. So we are two
Yes.
singles in a pod because of that. We both are not always going to be super single, but we're not. I mean, like one day I could be married, but I'm here for the single people because I know that shit's hard for me. I mean, and I do want to just say, I was thinking about like the toughest heartbreak, and it's actually in the relationship I am right now,
Mhm.
on and off. I think it's because, um, it's the only. I mean, I think I've only saw a future with three men before.
Mhm.
Obviously my child's father, but that's because it's puppy love, first love. You always imagine your future with them.
Yeah.
Feel like you just do. And then, um, the relationship where I was taught the actual standards that I need to have. But then this relationship, I also like I that's the only time I've ever seen like I actually would do it. I've
Oh,
seen it before, but I wouldn't actually do it. This is the
okay.
only time in a relationship where I'm like, I might sign some papers, but I'm not sure. It
Okay.
depends on the day. It's just we've got so much other stuff in our relationship that we could never just do that. Like, I mean, it just would never happen anytime soon. And if it did, it would
Right.
be a fucking miracle. But I think I'm so tired of explaining that relationship to people too, because it's embarrassing for me. For one, I will straight tell you it's super embarrassing. I hate talking about it. I feel like it's not respected by anybody. And I get it. Everybody does wrong, not
Mhm.
just him. I do wrong too. And I think when no one respects your relationship, or because they only hear all the bad, because obviously you're only giving them the bad. Like, when you vent to your friends, you are totally not being like, oh, he gave me flowers on a Tuesday. You're like, this motherfucker did this on blah blah blah. You're feeding the negative energy out
Right.
there, and I'm trying not to do that anymore because I've done it, and now like it looks like he's just horrible, and I hate that.
When there's more to him than just the
Hmm.
hardship I've had. But yeah, like you said, even if you do share the goods, they're only going to ever focus on like the bad that he's done to you. Especially if you're
Correct.
sharing these things with people who do love and care for you.
Yeah.
Because
And
at the end,
even like,
it's best for you.
yeah, and even like, when my friends will ask me, well, what's the good in him? Like, what do you see with him? I won't say what I see in him. I'm like embarrassed to even go down that road. I
Okay.
mean, like, I just I completely shut down. And it's nothing to do with like me feeling like I can't talk to my friends or whatever. It's just like I just shut down. I can't help it. And then I
Mhm.
get like embarrassed by it. And I'm just like, oh my God, I'm the worst person. And I feel bad because then I feel like my friends think that I'm like hiding stuff from them, and it's not that I'm hiding it. It's just like I'm honestly uncomfortable talking about it. That's
Yeah, I
just
mean, it's not anything easy that you can just share, especially when
mm-mm.
you're put on the spot like that. It's like, oh shit, okay, like what do I tell them? Even though
Yeah.
now you shutting down and not saying anything, it's kind of proving them right. It's like, okay, yeah, like that's what I thought.
Your
Maybe.
camera went out. Where are you?
Oh, I'm right here.
I don't know. It's black.
I can see you.
Ah, the show must go on. What I was gonna say is, do you want to talk about your relationship a little bit or no? It's up to you.
Uh, well, like you said, I will
Mm-hmm.
address it because again, the name is really a big thing when people see us. Um,
Mm-hmm.
like you said, we are speaking for the people. Me personally, there is no ring on this hand. I am single. But if you see me out with somebody, mind your own business, okay? I'm just a girl trying to have a good time.
Yeah, exactly. And I think people aren't used to that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like they have a hard time with that. I can see you again. They have a hard time with being like two women empowering being single.
Yeah.
I
It's
think
like
it's
we
like weird.
literally be in a relationship tomorrow. I can be
Hmm.
engaged tomorrow. We're not going to change the name because at the end of the day, like you said, we are speaking for the single people because at some
Hmm.
point we were single. We went through experiences. Like we are here because of the stuff that we went through. And that's what we're
Yeah,
here. We're here to share that with all of you.
yeah. And I know we did an episode a little bit ago about the pros and cons of being single, but I think that we forgot to mention the con of holidays. We might have said it a little bit. Being
Yes.
single during the holidays can be, I mean, like, my family's not a family that pressures that kind of thing.
Hmm.
They aren't like, oh, where's your boyfriend? I mean, like, some of my family, I don't know if they're doing it to joke around or what, like, what the status of it is. You
Right.
know, I don't know. But it's not just like your family, it's like TV commercials, it's your friends, it's walking outside of the grocery store.
Yes.
You see all of these couples, and you're just like, cool.
And you know what? I think I've mentioned this before. I'm not sure if on the podcast, but to you a few times. I come from very traditional Mexican parents, okay? Very
Mhm.
traditional Mexican family. So every year, it's the same thing. You know, it's like, oh, well, where is your boyfriend? When are you going to settle down, Erica? You're 28 years old. And what my mom says in Spanish, she's like, el tren se está yendo, meaning your time is ticking and, you know, like we want to be grandparents. And I'm like, I get it. Trust me, I get it. I have the
Yeah.
pressure of family. And sometimes they're joking and I can tell, but I know that they're actually serious about it, especially because a lot of my family here in California, all of them around my age have kids. They
Okay.
have, they're married, whatever it is. And same with a lot of my friends, you know, they're all with someone, they're
Hmm.
engaged, they're getting married, or they have kids. So it's like I'm literally the only single childless one there is.
Mm.
And seeing like their routines and like what they do, especially during the holidays, I feel really happy for them that
Yeah.
they get to experience that. So please do not get me wrong.
Yeah.
I love for them. I really do. And I'm so happy that a lot of them
Mhm.
get to experience motherhood because it's not
Yeah.
easy. Um,
No.
especially when, you know, you found your person and you're spending these holidays with them. But when you're single, sometimes it can feel a little lonely. You can feel like you're kind of backtracked. Like you're not
Hmm.
going at the speed that they are going in. And you'll tend to kind of blame yourself like, okay, is it me? Like, what am I doing wrong? What can I do to
Hmm.
be at their level, to, you know, relate to them? And you're not alone. Like, there's a
No.
lot that are single, a lot of us that are going through that. But I think it's so, so important to know that everyone has their own pace. You know, you just because you're
Absolutely.
a mom doesn't mean that you have to be one right now. Just because your best friend is
Hmm.
getting married doesn't mean you have to settle down with the first girl that, you know, texts you back.
Yeah. I mean, I'm a single mother, and sometimes I feel like the pressure of like, that like the looks, not that anyone ever really says it to me because they know that they should not. But it's almost like you couldn't like stand through the things with her dad to make that work. And I'm just thinking like, no, neither one of us wanted to be together. So why would we force it because we have a kid? Like we don't ever make our lives like a problem for her, if that makes sense. Like I don't sit there
Yeah.
and be like, oh, I mean, there was like a girlfriend that her dad had that I could not stand. Yes, but I was nice. I invited her to like, birthday parties. I would go to his family's Thanksgiving, sometimes, and she would be there, and I would be respectful and nice
Hmm.
because I mean, I wanted to show my daughter that, but I mean, like, I mean, we know that I didn't like her, but I was still nice and respectful,
Which
and I
is
expect, I expect him to do the same. You
Right.
know, I expect that. It's just when you have a kid and you're single, I think sometimes I hate being asked the question, you know, well, where's her dad?
Hmm.
Or if I'm like, a guy's pursuing me and they're like, oh, where's the dad? And I'm
Hmm.
like, first of all, she doesn't need a daddy. She already has one. I'm not looking for a stepdaddy. I'm not looking for that role. Like, but whenever I do, hopefully, if I ever get married, that man is somebody that she, can confide in as a friend
Yeah.
and that she's comfortable with because she already has two parents, whatever. And I just see them as like a bonus for her, like a
Right.
bonus person that she's like, oh, I can't tell my mom or dad this, but hey, let me tell you.
Yeah.
I want that. And like for whomever her dad ends up with or whatever, I would want that woman to be like another person that she can go to or whatever. But I
Right.
mean, I just feel like that's a whole nother conversation on whole nother episode. But I think that sometimes when you're a single mother, you get more pressure on in different ways.
Absolutely.
And then I have to spend holidays with my ex because we co-parent like that. So it's like I have to spend Thanksgiving with him. I have to spend Christmas with him. And sometimes it's just like we both we're not together anymore. And then we're both going to be with other people. And I think it's a lot of times our families, well, mine,
Hmm.
I'm not going to say about his family because I actually don't really know. But my
Hmm.
family, I feel like, has a hard time accepting that. Like, I get that they love him. They
Hmm.
can love him all they want to, whatever. But whomever I'm bringing over, they need to love that person too because that's who I'm choosing to be with at the moment or
Right.
forever.
Right.
He's not the person I'm choosing to be with. Yes, you can love him because he's family and he's always going to be around. I'm not against that. But as
Hmm.
my family, I expect them to love and accept with open arms the person
Right.
that I'm loving at the moment. Because if I love it, you should like it. Because if you love something, I'm gonna like it. I just am. Like I might not like love your partner, you know what I mean? Whatever. But if I love you, I'm going to show you that respect and
Right.
love that person. That's just how I am. And I think that's like the hardest thing is dating me, whomever dates me, whatever. I just feel bad for them because they have to come to my house and see like pictures or my family's house and see pictures of my daughter's dad all over the house. Like that's hard. You know what I mean? Like that's hard for somebody because when his partner goes into his family's house, like I'm not all over the walls and shit. And it's just like I think that's like the hardest thing for me is like around the holiday time is that I
Hmm.
have to explain to my partners, whomever they may be, that, like my daughter's dad's gonna be there. And it's just like sometimes it's awkward.
No, yeah, I
And
can.
they could be cool with it. Most of them are, but it's just like I am not cool with it all the time. Like I love him being there and I love doing Thanksgiving with him and Christmas because it makes my daughter so happy.
Hmm.
But sometimes I feel like my happiness is looked over
Yeah.
in situations and I hate that because I'm never saying that they can't have a relationship with him. What I'm just saying is that there's room for more people in your heart than just him.
Right.
And I think that's the biggest problem for me for holidays and you know my healing process and stuff like that is I don't think my family really understands that I mean they know that's never going to happen because they know me and his personalities and they know that that's never ever going to happen, but
Hmm.
I think they're quicker to accept his relationships than they are to accept mine.
Why do you think that is?
I don't know. I really feel like people, it's just the way that's coming across to me from what I've viewed from people with having a child. It's like you have a kid already, like you're done.
Mm.
I'm done.
Okay.
But it's
Okay.
like, no, I want to be married one day and I want to have more children one day. And I hate when someone says to me, "Well, your daughter's 12." That's starting all over. I don't give a fuck. Let me live my life. It's my fucking vagina. If I want to fucking start over, let me start over.
One
It's
too.
fucking my body. Like, I want to do what I want to do with my body. And you just fucking love it and accept it and say, congrats, whenever that fucking does happen.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's just some things that since we're getting personal and we're talking about all of this, it's just
Yeah.
something that I'm just like, ugh, my number one pet peeve around, it's normally around holidays is when I feel that
Yeah.
feeling.
Yeah, I can see that. Because like for me, like I don't have any kids. I'm single. I think for me it's just like a little bit harder on the holidays because again, like you have that pressure from the people around you, whether it's family and friends. But then it's just like you really do take a moment, you step back and you see them doing, their thing. And it's like, okay, we all have our family traditions, right? That we do Thanksgiving, Christmas, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
It's like you crave to have that with your own family.
Mm-hmm.
For me, like I am so hard on myself. I am so hard on myself. And I try to really remind myself that I need to be fulfilled with like my own self
Mm-hmm.
before I really be open to be with somebody else.
Okay.
Um and also like I want to point out that just because you're not in a relationship doesn't necessarily mean that you're alone.
Yeah.
Because again, like during the holidays, there are people who feel very lonely.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not gonna lie, sometimes I feel very lonely too because of that. And I try not to be hard on myself. I really try to say, okay, everything is in God's hands. Everything is going to happen to me as it's supposed to happen to me.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I recently talked to an old friend of mine, actually, and he was seeing this girl. I won't disclose any names, but he was seeing this girl, and they did it for a few months. I want to say, they had their hardships or challenges, called it quits, whatever. He tried to explore elsewhere, kind of
Mm-hmm.
heal from that past relationship. Didn't work out for him, so he was like, okay, maybe I should try again with this girl, right? And it didn't work out for whatever reason. But he really made me see that whole thing of like not settling just because one person is giving you the attention that you think you deserve. And I
Mm-hmm.
think he also had a lot of that pressure from, you know, his best friend is engaged, he's getting married soon.
Okay.
He is also like the single one friend group, same like me. So it's like I understand like where he was going with it and like why he was trying to make his past relationship work so hard.
Mm-hmm.
But it was also very eye-opening for me because it's like, okay, I've been in his shoes. I've had someone who gives me that attention where I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
maybe this is it. Like, let me shut down. Let me not respond to anybody else. Like, this is it. And then it's just
Yeah.
like, nope, this is not it. And you're like, "Ugh,
Yeah.
I got it. So don't settle. Like,
Yeah.
you are so much more than when you think that you are. Just because you're feeling lonely, don't text them back late at night. Don't let the boredom get the best of you.
Yeah.
Our persons, your persons, they're out there. We all have our other half. It's just a matter of time before, we meet them. Like my dad always said,
Absolutely.
looking, you're not gonna find. So just
Absolutely.
live your life at your own pace. And who knows, like you might just bump into that person.
Yeah. And like you were saying, like I have two best friends, and one of them is married. She has 3 kids.
Hmm.
But for whatever reason, like, I don't know, she's never put that like pressure on me either. And I
That's
love her for that.
yeah.
Shout out to you. Shout out to you, Drea, for not doing that. But then my other best friend, he's single, but he's single because he's just picky. Sorry. I'm sorry. He's just like
Keep it real with you guys.
he's so I always tell him like, ugh, when he like tells me he went on dates with somebody and he's like, yeah, but then I don't really like him, and I'm just like,
Mm,
nobody's good enough for you. There's nobody in the world good enough for him. There's just not. So
yeah.
maybe one day there will be, but I feel like it's a good mix between the two. So I don't always feel like, you know, but then like I'll see my other friends and, you know, they like are getting married. They're all, I mean, everybody in my freaking world is having a baby right now. And I do want more kids. I want to be able to give my child a sibling. Like I
Hmm.
really do. And but I look at it and I'm like, I don't know when that's happening. You know, I don't know when that's going to happen, and I don't even know if it's a realistic thing to happen.
Okay, let me pause you on that one. You
Okay.
said another kid, right?
Yeah.
Are you those type of people? And I ask because I've met someone recently
Hmm.
actually who is like this. When you do decide to have another child, do you want it to be with your daughter's father, or
No.
do you want it to be with with your person? Okay.
Uh, I know that was a quick no. I've
Yeah.
already have a life sentence. I don't
Mhm.
need to double it, you know?
Okay.
Is the best way I can say it. No, I would like to be married and then have another child. To
Hmm.
be honest with you, I'd like to do it because I didn't get to do it the right way, you know? And I feel like for my daughter, she's always like, she doesn't know what her parents were like together. She was too little to know, so she's always known us as a part.
Hmm.
And that's one of my biggest insecurities is that I've never given her like a foundation of like a man, woman in a home together. She's seen woman and man.
Right.
You know, I mean, like he's had girlfriends that he lived with, but she's never like looked at them as like a stepmother type of figure. You know what I mean? So she's never had that like man, woman kind of thing. And so I
Hmm.
think like whenever that does happen, she's gonna be like, what the fuck is this? You know, I think it's gonna be something that's really hard for her. But
Yeah.
I want to be able to, this is gonna sound crazy. So I believe like sometimes when you have children, you're almost trying to fix your own childhood traumas. And you don't even realize you're doing it. Because you don't. And
Hmm.
there's things with her that I noticed that I do where she doesn't have trauma, but then I realized that of course as a mother, and mothers might give me slack and hate for this one, whatever, I don't care. But you always put your child first. But as I'm getting, I don't know, I'm 33, and I feel like putting everyone else's needs first have never worked out for me before. So for the first time in my life, I'm putting my needs first, as long as my child's okay too. But
Yes.
I can't be the best mother to her and be the best person if I'm not truly happy in my own life. If I'm not making
Exactly.
myself happy, you know? And that goes in relationships too, like you, any relationship, but my most important relationship to me in this entire world is the relationship I have with my child. There's
Yeah.
nothing that comes over that. Like that's just number one.
Hmm.
And it's important to me to make sure I'm okay because if I'm not okay, me and her's never going to be okay.
Exactly.
Luckily, we get along really well though, so
Your dog
we're good.
looks so much. Also, she's literally your little clone. I just want to point out, if
Yes,
you guys know her daughter, they are copy paste. Okay.
I think so. But
Uh,
people sometimes say no, but I get
but
like all pissed about
no, yeah.
it.
And like if I see you out, I'd be like, oh, that's probably her older sister. It's insane. But
I
like
can't wait for
she
her to
looks
hear that.
like you literally have to be your best version of yourself for her. You know, like
Yeah.
even if you're going through hard times and her just saying like, wow, like my mom is really putting herself above anything and everyone. And that's
Mhm.
just it'll motivate her
Yeah.
to be a better person as well. You know, it's like if my mom
Yeah.
can do it, that's the type of woman that I want to grow up to be.
And that's the kind of woman I want to be. Is the woman that she wants to be like.
Yeah.
She pushes me. She's actually the reason why I'm doing the podcast. I always like said I want to do one, and then she's always like, "Well, then why aren't you doing it?" Because if you know her, you know she's sass, just
Yes.
sass, just a ball of sass, and that's how she is. And
Yeah.
so I've been learning from her from things like that. Then I'm like, yeah, she's right. Why aren't I doing this? I'm doing this.
Yeah.
And I want to be like that for her. Like, I sometimes look at her and I'm just like, how did me and her dad both, like, how did we raise her? Because she's just so very outspoken. That's hard for some people that aren't used to like children being outspoken.
Mm-hmm.
So, which is very outspoken. And sometimes when people hear stories, are like dying. But
Yeah.
that's who I want her to be because that's who I am.
Yeah.
And I don't
And
want to after.
I think her seeing like how good you and her dad co-parent too
Mhm.
really helped her be more of a, how do I say this? More full of personality, you know?
I agree because she's always like, you and my dad are low key secret best friends, aren't you? And I'm just like, uh-huh, we're besties, you know? But I think that relationships all over the world are hard. You know, if whether it's like with man, woman, 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 man, man, your husband, your wife, parents, children, they're all hard. They all take work, every single one of them. And I think that around the holiday time is when people feel the most lonely.
Mm-hmm.
Even around like family, you feel lonely. I think it's the most time where everyone's relationship could get a little, either the relationship gets stressed or the relationship is beautiful.
Yes, I
I
agree.
don't think there's an in between. I think
Mm-mm.
it's just either stress and horrible at the time, or it's like, oh, this is the best relationship I've ever been in, you know. And with being single, you look at those, like, you know, we have, what is it, the Chocolate Factory, Ethel and Chocolate Factory. I don't know if you've ever been there, where they do
Yeah.
like Christmas lights.
Yes.
And I remember, I haven't been in a while, but like the last time I went, I remember I was not in a relationship, and I'm there with my child, and I see all these moms and dads together with their kids, and then I see all these couples, and I'm just like, I fucking want to go home, like
Yeah.
now. And I'm supposed to be enjoying this moment with my daughter, which I truly am enjoying it, but it's also like I also want to have that other person there that you I want to enjoy it with. It's
Yeah.
like you want the whole package, but I only have half of the package, and I want the full thing.
Yes.
You know what
I,
I mean?
yeah. And it's like sometimes I feel like I sound like a hater because like I agree with you. You're out, you're doing these activities and you see these couples and you're like, "Ugh," like
Mm-hmm.
I want to have that, you know? But it's like no hate, not at all. Like I love love and I love to see women getting treated right. I love to see men getting treated right, knowing how to treat a woman because it feels like it's so hard to do these days. So,
Yeah.
guys, girls, shout out to you if you're treating your other person right. Um, but then it's like
Yeah.
I'm very selfish, okay? And I've said this before and I will openly admit it. I'm very selfish. So when I think like, man, like I wish that was me, like I really want that. I have to really take a step back also and be like, okay, are you ready to not be selfish? Because being single equals you time, right? You do whatever
Mm-hmm.
you want. Being in a relationship, like now you're a team. You know,
Yeah.
you're a
True.
person, you can't really just think about yourself. So I think really thinking about that is also like, you know what? I think I'm good right now. Love to see
And
it, but I think
I actually agree because for me, I'm not, I mean, I have a kid, so I'm not like, you know, I'm never really alone. But I always think like dating, I have to split that time with myself, with my child, and with
hmm
someone else.
hmm
That fucking sounds terrible to me. It does, but I always want to make sure my daughter gets like the most time spent
yeah,
more than myself and then that person. But then it's like I would need to date someone who understands that she's number one. She's number one. There's
yeah.
just I don't no one is before her. Which luckily I have never had an issue with that. Thank God. And I thank goodness for that. But
hmm
it is a struggle because I like I said, I don't really ever get alone time, but when I do get alone time, I do enjoy that shit.
Yeah. And I
I
think
fucking love that shit.
it's so good to have two different perspectives also, you know, coming from someone
Mhm.
who's single with, you know, no kids, and then
Mhm.
like you who is single and has a daughter. You
Yeah.
know, there are a lot of people now who, they're single parents and they're trying to find that balance to, you know, be there for their kids, be there for themselves, go
Mm-hmm.
socialize and meet people and, hopefully maybe one day, get married or whatever their plan is, but just, go
Yeah.
out there on their own. So it's like so good to see that people can have your perspective and also have kind of my perspective on this.
Mm-hmm.
Because no offense, but I think it's easier for me out here than it is for you.
1,000% agree. I'm not going to disagree with that.
Yeah.
Um, just I agree with that because I'm not going to go on that topic yet because I'm just going to wait
Yeah.
for
Oh yeah.
another day.
I
But
agree.
yeah, I definitely have it harder, I think, and which makes it all worthwhile though, because at the
Yeah.
end of the day, if I find someone who works out, it works out. Like I said, I'm in an on off again relationship, and sometimes it really works out. But there's sometimes I think in that relationship personally is that there's a lot of hurt in it that if you know me, I'm a grudge holder and I have a hard time letting things go.
Hmm.
So that doesn't help my relationship. It doesn't.
Yeah.
So it makes it harder for me. And if that relationship doesn't work, if we ever decide that's just really, really not what we would like to do, I
Yeah.
think that I wouldn't date for a really long time, actually. I think I would really try to heal the correct way because I believe that there is like a correct way for yourself. I don't believe everybody has the same healing process. I believe everyone has a healing process for themselves.
Yeah.
And it might not all look the same, but I think that when you heal is when you meet the person, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because when I finally felt healed from like all my traumas and relationship, that's when I met my on and off again relationship. Um, I would have never, I wasn't even looking and not really looking, just like, dabbing a little around. Um, he wasn't like the normal that I go for either. Well, to me, everyone swears I have a type. I don't
Okay.
think I do. I just
Okay.
think I like what I like. It's like I like different things all the time. But um it happened, and I think it happened because I actually allowed myself to get over my past traumas, which is the first relationship that I didn't bring those traumas into.
That's good. I think a lot of people need to learn how to do that. Because I'm not gonna lie, Mia. People who jump from relationship to relationship really terrify me. Because it's
Oh
like,
yeah,
how are you doing that? Like you
it's
dated
hard.
for years and
Mm-hmm.
you broke up a month ago and all of a sudden you're dating somebody new?
It's because they're afraid to be alone. They won't say that and admit it. I'm admitting it right now. I think that I just I don't I think with like when I broke up with my daughter's dad, I wanted to be in a new relationship, just to like spite him,
Hmm.
purely because like he's not about to go out here and have all the fun in the world and live all this life while I'm fucking sitting here at home, fucking doing everything in the world for his child. Fuck no, I'm gonna go live half my life too, and like
Hmm.
do both as he
Yeah,
did, which I wish I never did that, but you know can't take back things. You learn from it.
exactly. Lessons learned.
Yeah, because that relationship after, I just really wish I never had. But I mean, I also realized what gaslighting was and what abuse was. And sometimes, and I don't know if people really, I mean, they might have different opinions, but I believe that sometimes emotional abuse is worse than physical abuse. Because,
Oh, absolutely.
the bruises go away, but the damage in your heart does not. Like that shit sticks with you forever.
Yeah.
And I think that you have to be mindful what you say to people and how you say it to people. And I'm trying to learn that still to this very day,
Yeah.
to be not as cruel to the person that I say that I'm in love with.
Yes. Be okay with accepting the love that you deserve.
Yeah. that's hard for people. I mean, sometimes it's hard for me.
No, it is. I mean, especially when you've dealt with so much hardship and challenges and past relationships,
Mm-hmm.
it's hard to accept the love that you truly do deserve, especially when you meet
Mm-hmm.
someone real and who's genuine. Um, but if you are with someone who is physically, mentally, emotionally abusing you, don't ignore it. Don't
No, no,
for that.
honestly, get the
Walk.
fuck out of there because they're not changing.
Yeah,
They're just not. Like, they're always going to do that to you. And you're
yeah.
allowing them to do it. Like, I mean, that sounds like bitchy. I know it does, and it sounds really insensitive, but you're allowing them to do this to you. But you have the final say. Like, you just need to leave. And that sounds easier said than done. I know because I have been there. But
Hmm.
I'm glad that I did. And I'm glad that the things I put up with when I was in my early 20s, I wouldn't even put up with for a second in my age now. Like,
No,
not even like, no, there's nothing that I
because
would,
you do learn from all of that, and you look back and you're like, I cannot believe that I let that slide.
yeah.
And
Oh,
like I said,
no.
really, truly hang on to that forever. And you're like, okay, like moving
Yeah.
forward, this is what's okay for me, and this is what's not okay for me.
Mm-hmm. I
Um,
honestly feel like, to me, I didn't learn any of this until like maybe a couple months ago. I'm not gonna lie to you. I feel like when I turned 33, I almost like started to really like love myself again.
mhm,
And I think when I fell in love with myself again is when I started being like, I am not putting up with this little bullshit here and there. I'm not putting up with a man calling me a bitch. I'm
yeah,
not putting up with him lying to me. I'm not putting up with anything. Like, I'm not doing it. You want to lie, go do it on your own time. I ain't got the, like, there's a million yous.
yeah.
Sorry. There is.
Irreplaceable.
Yeah, I mean, like, there's just, I don't know. I think that any single person listening to this, I really hope that before you get into some terrible, shitty ass relationship, you listen to your gut first before doing it.
Yeah,
And don't rush into a relationship just because you're like, fuck, I'm lonely, I'm bored, and I just want some sexual healing. Don't do it.
yeah. Because at the end of the day, someone's gonna get hurt like that. Whether it's you,
Yeah.
whether it's the other person, like even if it's just casual sex, like feelings will be involved, and it's just not gonna end well. So really love yourself to the fullest, put yourself first, know that you deserve something and someone great, and literally just be patient. Your time will come. Do not settle.
Yeah. I mean, really, I don't know. The casual sex comment, though, I was just thinking, like, I've done that before and I did not have feelings for anybody. I'm making of that. So I don't know. I don't know.
Well, I mean, I don't
I don't know. I know when to shut it off and when to put it on.
well,
I do. And I think because it takes a long time for me to develop feelings for people. I
yeah.
truly think that's why. But once I
Hmm.
develop those feelings for you, it's a wrap.
But it's like
Um,
I can't have just casual sex. Like I have to connect with you. I have to like you. Otherwise, it's just like no, I can't. Sorry.
I have been, I have been down that road before. Not, I mean, I don't know, because I feel like it could have been casual sex to me, but then I feel like it could have been something else to the other person.
See?
But I don't ever try to drag that up or bring it up. You know what I mean? I don't ever mention that. I don't talk about it. I don't talk to that person anymore. I don't do a lot of stuff. So
Yeah.
I don't know. But I feel like for me, it's hard for me to catch feelings. And then once I do though, like I'm really into those feelings, like
Yeah.
deep into those feelings. Hmm.
No, I get that. What is an advice that you would give to our single listeners about
Mm.
being lonely, being single during the holidays? If you can tell them a sentence or two, what advice would you give them to, kind of uplift them?
You're not alone. I'm out here with you. Erica's with you. Um, and that everything is only temporary. You don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. You don't know what's
Mhm.
going to happen in a week. It's only a temporary feeling. And you'll be okay. You'll be fine. You give your advice.
I second that. That was perfect. I do.
Really?
I'm like, whew. All right, I'm gonna engrave because that was, yeah. And you said it with
Good.
such like love tone too. I was like, all right, here we go.
Well, I want you to know, like, it's okay. I'm here
Yeah,
with you. I am. I'm here with you. You- I understand. I have been there. I'm going to be there this year with you. I understand the feeling of Thanksgiving dinner at families' houses and then you have to go home alone.
yeah,
And I understand that feeling. You have to go home alone and watch a Christmas movie or something. And I understand those feelings. So it's only temporary because you don't know what's going to be there next year for you. Next year, you could be married. It
yeah.
happens.
We'll see.
It happens. Don't knock it.
I'm not gonna knock on wood.
For all of you single lovers out there, please tell us what you guys are doing for the holidays. And if you are going to be alone, it's like I said, it's fine. We are
Hmm.
going to do a live December 10th.
Hmm.
Sorry if you hear my dog outside barking. He has no chill. I don't know if you can hear him. I'm
No,
sorry. Okay, I heard him because I had my window open. I was like, I'm sorry.
uh,
Um, we're gonna do a live December 10th and go over some things. Don't forget to like us,
comment,
subscribe.
subscribe,
Yes, Two Singles in a Pod everywhere.
YouTube, all of that.
Yes, and we'll be seeing you all later.
Yes. Have a wonderful night, everyone.
And happy holidays.
Happy holidays.
Bye.
Bye.